John Bryja from Kitesurfing Magazine. This is our test editor, Shane Thompson, and we've just wrapped up the last day of the 2020 AWSI trade show. And we're going to go through the top 5 trends at the show this year. So maybe we'll start off here, Shane, with
the number 1 trend?
No, I think we should start off with the number 5 trend.
Number 5, in reverse order.
Number 5 trend.
I would say, I think we were thinking the number 5 trend is the New North brand and their launch or relaunch into the industry. It's pretty amazing that just a year ago there was no North, and now there's a North with 3 kites, a bunch of surfboards, twin tips, foil.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how quickly they were able to come out with an entire lineup that's pretty polished. Mm-hmm. Really like their new not click bar, but their new bar with the quick reconnecting chicken loop.
Yeah, it's like a seatbelt. Like a seatbelt. Click.
It really is like a seatbelt.
No pulling off the sheath and holding up the sheath to reconnect. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And our next big trend, the expanding number of foils.
Yeah, the foil world, I mean, it's amazing. It's only been, this is kind of like the 4th season of real foiling, and there's just so many different models out there, and they're performing so much better than they were like 4 years ago. So if you tried foiling 4 years ago, it's a different sport now, right? Basically.
Yeah, it's amazing how the freeride wings are really taking over compared to the race style wings of the early days.
Yeah, it's true, because when the freeride wings first came out, the race wings kind of outperformed them even almost in the freeride world, but they were still harder to ride, but if you knew how to ride them, they were better. But now the freeride wings are so much better, especially in lighter winds, for learning, more stable, better for more applications in waves and surfing, and it's amazing. The foil thing is kind of creating its own category of its own sport in multiple different sports, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like kiteboarding. First was when it came out, kiteboarding, there was wake style, and now got into surf, Foil's kind of the same thing.
Same way. Yeah, it definitely seems like the shorter mast from everybody has really accelerated the learning curve for people getting into the sport, and then
shorter masts and more stable, larger front wings make it a lot easier to learn to foil. There should be if you can kite now, there should be no reason to not learn to foil, really, unless you just want to sit on the beach while everyone kites at 10-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. The other big trend that we spotted was the expanding number of big air kites, like freeride kites that are good for boosting, and the number of wake style kites that are good for boosting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool that the whole trend towards going big and doing stuff at high altitudes and jumping bigger is back. For a while there, it was all about low level, wake style tricks that only a few people could do.
Yeah.
And now, people can learn to jump big and safely land, and with these new kites, it lets them jump bigger and soar higher and feel the rush of that, getting big air.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. So we saw quite a few brands with new big air kites this week. Slingshot released a big air kite a few weeks ago. The North guys who came out with 2 models for their release this year. One of them or 3 models this year. The Orbit is a big air kite. The Neo got completely redesigned and then unredesigned to maintain its big air crossover for the strapless freestyle guys. Even strapless freestyle guys need to go big. So jumping is huge. Let's face it. And having a kite that can handle that, and loft you and feel comfortable for those big landings is important. And I think that's what the brands are building these kites for, because everyone wants to jump big. Yeah, that was one of our head-to-head categories last year, but I think we're going to definitely need to revisit that category again this year with the number of new models that just got released.
Yeah, absolutely. Head-to-head, big air, find out which one might work for you. they all jump big. It's just they going to feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So our number 2 big trend of this show is harnesses, and the sheer amount of refinement that's going into the harnesses this year and over the last couple of years. It's really
it's pretty cool. I mean, let's face it, what you feel the most from your kite is actually translated through your harness. So it's a really important connection to your kite, and not everyone's body's the same, and not everyone is riding the same kites or in the same conditions. So it makes sense to have a lot of these companies are figuring out and making these amazing harnesses for such a broad range of people. And it all started with, the hard shell concept kind of started the fire of, oh man, we can do so much more with harnesses. So it's amazing to see even, was it 4 or 5 years later after that first hard shell harness, is that there's not only better hard shell harnesses, there's better soft shell harnesses, there's amalgamations of harnesses between soft and hard. And
which were the standouts for you at the show this year when you were checking out the harnesses? Which ones really stand out in your mind?
Well, I mean, the newest one from Mystic, I guess that will be the most expensive harness on the market at $399 retail or something like that. But it fuses basically a softer shelled harness that retain no water with their super high-end carbon stiff harness. So now you have a stiff carbon harness that remains super light and doesn't suck up any water. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got that pretty awesome stealth bar on there too.
Yeah, the bars from all the companies, Ion, Stealth, Ion and Mystic, are pretty amazing. How that's another huge development, right? Yeah. The slider. At first, it was kind of started with a rope slider, and now they're making better and better connections. Quick clip-in connections to make it easier to put on your harness, and also spread the load through the harness better. So there's a lot of cool spreader bar technology out there this year.
Yeah, it was fun to meet up with the founder of Ride Engine and get a little bit of the history of the inventing of the hard shell harness. So we posted that video online just before posting this, so make sure you check that one out. So our number one trend at the show, which not all of the product that fits into that trend was released at the show. It's kind of been an evolving thing in the industry over the last year or two with foil boarding evolving, is lightweight kites.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of proven that the lighter a kite gets, the better it performs. It started with the 3-strut kite, was that 10 years ago, right? And now, companies are making a lot of everyone's coming up with a 1-strut kite that can, relaunch easier, stay up in the air in lighter winds, and also handle better while depowered, which is important. If you're in light winds or if you're on a foil board where you don't have as much line tension to make the kite steer. So the lighter a kite is, the better it's going to perform when there's not as much wind or you don't have that line tension to make the kite move. So the 1-strut kites are exploding. Slingshot's got a new one. The redesigns of Duotone's got a new redesign on theirs, which we're looking forward to trying. And then, as well as the material called Alula, which Ocean Rodeo has, makes a kite making kites twice or more lighter than.
So half the weight.
Half the weight, half the weight of before is amazing. That could be a game-changing thing for kite performance, and they're just scratching the surface of it now. So it'll be interesting.
That's a real dream for everyone to have a kite that they can actually keep in the air in 3 knots of wind.
Yeah, keep in the air in 3 knots of wind, and the other performance attributes that they're talking about, which we will test to make sure it works, but are pretty cool too. The more that material's stiffer, more reactive kite with more power, is all things everyone looks to do. And material advancement, let's face it, has changed the performance of everything over the last 20 years, right? So
yeah. Greg Falk, their engineer, described the aluminum material in the kite. Actually, no, it wasn't Greg. It was Reese described it as almost similar to aluminum frames in mountain bikes and carbon frames in mountain bikes. It's kind of the jump in performance people are going to see in the kites with the aluminum material.
Yeah, I mean, you can make that parallel in all sorts of things, right? Like, what's the lightest and best performing product when new materials go into it to make it better? You know, that's where you really see the big advancements in performance. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out over the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the big 5 trends here at the 2020 AWSI trade show. Be sure to click the like button and the subscribe button. I think they're on those sides. And we've also got all the individual interviews. So check out any of the brands that you're interested in. And we're also going to do an individual top 5 product video check out. So check in for that as well. And look out for our fall gear review tests coming up. I think we're getting the Lula kites actually in 2 weeks, and we'll start online reviews with those almost right away. So subscribe and keep posted.